The initiated steps its foot.
Catechesis is the debut full-length album from Patristic, a Rome, Italy-based project centered around blackened death metal, or black metal from the perspective of the fellow who heads Hideous Divinity, Enrico Schettino. He'd basically put together the project back in 2018 with JGP from Bedsore as the vocalist, and because he was just too busy at the time, the fellow from Bedsore took off after that first EP. It was quite a good EP in Apologetica. The thing with that first EP is that it gave you an idea of what their sound was. It gave you kind of a sense of the theme just a little bit. It wasn't very clear what it was in terms of its lyrics and its themes just yet, but it definitely had like a little bit of an ulcerate-esque vibe to a blackened death metal sound, which was centered around technical death metal. And I know that's a loaded way of putting it, but now that he's restaffed the entire band, he's brought in a new drummer in Sathrath of Nocturnal Depression and the vocalist from Frost Moon Eclipse, we can definitely start to see what this band is with this full length. And it certainly focuses in on the skills of Schettino in terms of as a composer. He's got a very familiar voice if you're a fan of Hideous Divinity, as I am, as well as we're finding his approach to black metal is maybe something a little bit more in the vein of kind of the stuff that came after Behemoth the Satanist in terms of occult black metal, reaching a lot more people with that type of sound. Now that's not the gist of it. There's kind of a French black metal, black death metal touch to this record that keeps it eventful in that sound, but for now, we'll cut to a clip, and I'll talk more about how this record develops and through its two major pieces. Beyond the face value read of something related to Behemoth-esque blackened death metal, I think that there's a lot of influence stated from what I would consider third-generation descendants of Orthodox black metal. And I guess what I mean is current bands that are playing in that style still, that have evolved it to their own tastes and voices and incorporated modern guitar techniques. And I think that this is still coming from someone who primarily composes technical death metal. You can feel that in these songs, that they're tightened up and don't really allow a lot of room to breathe. That's a big part of this, is that it's kind of a rush, and you're going to get a lot of those brutal sections up front, but that's not all that the record is about. It's not about clogging the drain with as much as possible. In fact, surprisingly, this is even more atmospheric than the EP was. On Apologetica, we had these kind of odd proggy moments. They were just hints of ideas, and now they fully expanded that on this record to the point where by the time we're in the second larger piece here, by the time we're into the title track and its many pieces, the door has opened to something different. And while they carry the tension and the brutality in there, essentially the voice of the band changes as they float a lot of different atmospheric ideas and move beyond just kind of playing around with dissonance and harsher black metal affect. And now that they've kind of worked in a unique sound, you'll get what I'm saying when you're there. It's a hard thing to describe because you're getting brutality and atmosphere in turn and in tandem. There really is a transformation that happens on this record that is both engrossing and entertaining, but also just impressive for all that it does. And so what I would say about this record, it's a really great starting point. Right now, they're kind of reaching a very high standard, one of the higher possible standard with the style of music, but then you can see that their minds are already cracking open to new ideas, and that this could become something even bigger and even more interesting over time. I think it's one of the more interesting records to come out this month. I think it's a very strong record for people who want technical death metal skill applied to something which is blackened metal or black metal in spirit and intent. And I think that juxtaposition and the way that all those things work together will be pretty unique in the ears of people who are willing to give it due time to stretch its wings and show off what it can do. Check it out for yourself. It released on June 20th, and go ahead and read my written review for more of my thoughts.
The initiated